Let me start off with what a big deal this is for the city of Burbank. At first, I would like to take and thank Cook County Board President Tony Preckwinkle, the National Guard, Commissioner Lowry, and our Commissioner John Daly. The most important job as an elected official during these uncharted times is to give our first responders the PPE they need to do their jobs. Last year, the City of Burbank's Fire Department has handled 4,150 incident calls, and the Police Department has handled 25,000 calls. They are handling these calls now, knowing that some of these people do have COVID-19. This is truly the definition of a hero, along with our nurses and doctors. Although we thought we were somewhat prepared, our resources were quickly depleting. With the support of the Cook County Board, we are able to stay on our mission and provide our first responders with the PPE they need. As the mayor of the city of Burbank, we say thank you. At this time, I'd like to introduce our Cook County President, Tony Preckwinkle.
Good afternoon. I want to thank Mayor Foy, thank you very much. Fire Commissioner David Gilgenberg, there we go, and Police Chief Rick Shore for hosting us today. And thank you to the chiefs for your service to our community in the fight against the pandemic. I want to express my immense gratitude to the Illinois Emergency Management Agency and Director Alicia Tate Nadeau for your diligence in ensuring that our healthcare workers and our first responders have the personal protective equipment that they need while they do everything they can to keep us safe. I want to thank Corey Wise and our Illinois National Guard folks who've worked alongside our emergency management team during the duration of this pandemic and are critical in delivering this PPE to frontline workers across the county. Although they will speak for themselves, on behalf of Cook County Commissioner Bill Lowry, Chair of the county's Emergency Management Committee, and Bill Barnes, Executive Director of the county's Department of Emergency Management and Regional Security, I want to thank everyone here and across the county who is doing his or her part to fight this deadly virus. As our entire nation struggles with the shortage of PPE, we are grateful to the Illinois Emergency Management Agency for a shipment of more than 1 million items of PPE to our county. At a time when the number of cases of COVID-19 in Cook County continues to climb, these gloves, masks, gowns, and so many other supplies are critical as we try to fight this virus. Our partners from the Illinois National Guard have provided us with a great deal of support through this crisis. We're deeply grateful to them. Today, they continue their efforts by assisting our emergency managers as they begin to deliver this PPE to hundreds of healthcare facilities, police and fire departments throughout the county. This includes, of course, our first responders here in Burbank. I can't thank you enough for all your good work. I'd also like to thank our Department of Emergency Management and Regional Security under the leadership of Bill Barnes and Ted Berger. The relationships they formed long before the COVID-19 pandemic helped our ability to mobilize and fight this disease. EMRS has been working behind the scenes at many levels, planning and coordinating our response to the pandemic. Through their efforts, we've distributed more than 1.8 million pieces of PPE already to our healthcare workers and first responder community. This crisis has proven how important it is for all of us to work together. None of us can do this alone, and thankfully we don't have to. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Bill Lowry, but before I do, I want to acknowledge and thank Amanda Grazian and Lisa Trieger, who are sign language interpreters. Bill?
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Mayor. And thanks to all of you. I'm Bill Lowry, Cook County Commissioner of the 3rd District, and I have the great pleasure of serving as chair of our EMRS committee at the county. But today I'm here because of all of you. And I'll be frank, there have been some tough days since this started. But my spirit is lifted today because of all of you, your courage, your compassion, your knowledge. We've saved so many more than we've lost. You have literally run into the eye of this pandemic, and you've done this on behalf of your families and our entire community. So again, to all of you, I say thank you, be safe, be healthy, and be blessed.
Thank you, Commissioner. Now I'd like to welcome Alicia Tate Nadeau, Director of the Illinois Emergency Management Agency. We're grateful.
Thank you, Madam President, for that warm welcome. As always, it is fantastic to be here today and to be working with Cook County. You heard her say earlier that these relationships are not built during the pandemic. They have existed for a long time prior to the actual event. And as I look around with the people behind me, either in uniform or out, I'm grateful to say that these are not new faces or names. These are people that we have worked with for years. And why is that so important? That is incredibly important for us whenever you have an event like a pandemic, that you know the capabilities of the people that you're working with, and that you have the built trust to be able to work on a single focus to ensure that we are providing everything possible for the residents of Illinois. So you heard the President talk about the over 1 million points of personal protective clothing that have been provided to the county. I want to take this opportunity to talk to you about how we as a state and throughout the different counties in Illinois, how we intend to ensure that we have all the PPE that we need to provide to our first responder communities, to our medical health professionals out there. And that is to talk about something called the Battelle critical decontamination capability. This is a decontamination capability that can decon N95 masks, and these are the masks that are most used by our medical healthcare workers and some of our key first responder community. The Battelle critical decontamination system allows us to decontaminate approximately 80,000 masks per day. And here's the important part, it's absolutely free. We will even help sign you up, so if you have a need to have your N95 mask decontaminated, we will work with the service to ensure that we pick up and deliver it back to you, a decontaminated mask. So how, as we look at restoring Illinois, are we going to ensure that we have a strategic stockpile? Each of these masks that we're talking about have the ability to be decontaminated up to 20 times without degradation. So we encourage everyone to sign up for this system. This system has been approved under the Food and Drug Administration, or the FDA, and the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. And they are actually the ones that have deployed it free of service to the state of Illinois. If you have folks that are interested in signing up for this critical capability to ensure that we can continue to stretch and ensure that we have personal protective equipment for everyone, we would encourage you to sign up at www.battelle, and I'll spell that for you, BATTELL.org/decon. That email address again, or that website, is www.battelle, BATTELLE.org/decon. The other wonderful thing about this is we want to ensure that as your N95 masks are being decontaminated, they have a turnaround time of anywhere between 48 to 72 hours. So the desire is that we get everybody on a routine to cycle through for their masks. And Madam President, once again, I would simply just like to thank you for the relationship between the county and the state. This doesn't just happen by chance, and at this point, I would like to turn it over to my colleague, Bill Barnes.
Thank you, Alicia. Again, my name is Bill Barnes, Executive Director of Cook County Department of Emergency Management and Regional Security. I'd also like to thank our hosts from the City of Burbank, Mayor Foy, and Chiefs Gilgenberg and Shore, from whom you will be hearing shortly. I'd also like to thank Madam President for her guidance in this time of crisis. She gives us a clear idea of the direction that she wants to go, and as always, it's the right direction to take. And supplementing that guidance comes from Commissioner Lowry, who, as he indicated, is the chairman of our committee, the Emergency Management and Regional Security Committee. And I also would be remiss if I didn't dwell a little more on the relationship and the partnership that the county has with the state of Illinois, as represented by Director Tate Nadeau. Her personnel at the Illinois Emergency Management Agency are key stakeholders in the county's response to COVID-19. They work with us every day to make sure that we have what we as a community, as a county, need to fight this crisis. And that includes the PPE that you see here. It includes housing as well. They have helped us in our efforts to provide housing to COVID-positive individuals and respite housing to our first responders. So we're very grateful for that. But today, we're here to celebrate the over 1 million pieces of personal protective equipment that we received that will be distributed shortly to our healthcare workers and our first responders. The impact, the gravity of the impact of this equipment and these supplies can't be overstated. We're living in a time when masks and gloves are literally the difference between life and death, and they're being used to supply our first responders and healthcare workers who are risking their own lives and the lives of their loved ones to do the very important jobs that they are tasked with. So it is our hope that this amount will further their goals, and we can't even begin to understand how many lives we've saved with this shipment alone, so thank you. As President Preckwinkle pointed out, the Illinois National Guard plays a key role in our response efforts as well. Colonel Wise will be up here speaking to that, but I do want to emphasize that since the beginning of this pandemic, National Guardsmen have been at our side, supporting our fatality management plan to ensure that COVID-related fatalities are treated in a respectful and dignified manner. And more importantly, to the subject at hand, they are playing a critical logistical role in making sure that the PPE that we've received from the state get into the hands of the folks that need it the most. So thank you again, Colonel, to you and your guardsmen for the great job they're doing for us. I want to echo what Director Tate Nadeau said about partnerships. I can't stress enough how important these partnerships are, especially in a time like this. Every single agency that we work with, be they old partners or new partners, brings to the table their own set of skills and strengths. Each one of these agencies is strong and formidable on their own, but no individual agency could fight this fight alone. We're all in this together, and together we will prevail. Before we turn to the fire and police from the local level, I'd like to introduce Colonel Wise for some thoughts as to the National Guard mission, and then we'll bring up the chiefs.
Thank you. As he said, I'm Colonel Corey Wise from the Illinois National Guard, and we're extremely proud of the work that's been done here by our soldiers, partnered with our Cook County brothers and sisters, as well as the Illinois Emergency Management Agency. The number one priority is the safety for the citizens of Illinois, and this mission really demonstrates that fact. It also demonstrates the flexibility of the National Guard and what we can bring to the fight. For example, these soldiers that stand before you over here, 7 days ago, were doing a totally different mission. And between the coordination from the Cook County officials, Illinois Emergency Management Agency, and the Illinois Army National Guard came together, and that's how this happened. So the coordination efforts are at the base of every successful operation, and this operation by no means has any exceptions. So the coordination that's going on right now in Cook County is also going on in every county throughout Illinois, and that's how we're going to move to success through this pandemic. That's all I have. I'll turn it over to the fire chief. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm David Gilgenberg, the Fire Chief, City of Burbank. I'd like to thank Cook County Board President Tony Preckwinkle for coming here today, as well as Colonel Corey Weiss and the members of your National Guard, Alicia Tate-Nadeau, from Director of IEMA, and Cook County Commissioner Bill Lowry, as well as Director Barnes and Deputy Director Tom Tilton, and of course my Mayor, Mayor Dan Foy, for all of your support throughout this. I would also like to thank our first responders for all of their hard work and dedication. You do a great job under normal conditions, but especially during these unprecedented times. Our firefighters, paramedics, and police officers work hard every day to keep our community safe and to treat the sick from this virus. And I am very proud of you all. Here at the City of Burbank, we pride ourselves in staying up on training, preparedness, and providing the best emergency services to our residents and neighboring communities. Although we had an ample supply of personal protective equipment, as Mayor Foy mentioned, it was quickly depleting by the increased calls for service involving those sick from this deadly virus. Faced with this PPE shortage, we had to reach out to our community for help. We found that help in our close relationships with our local businesses, park district, school districts, public health systems, and even our residents. I can't thank all of you enough, because we truly are in this together. Our greatest resource, our greatest source of information and source for emergency supplies comes from Cook County, specifically the Office of Emergency Management and Regional Security. Madam President, the leadership, systems, and resources you have in place in this department are second to none. From the Web EOC platform, the daily situational awareness reports, and of course the PPE, it really does make a difference in our response capabilities. And it would be a mistake if I didn't take a moment to thank the emergency logistics officers at the Emergency Management Regional Security Office for all of their hard work. They're the boots on the ground. They're dealing with all of the managing and distributing of all these vital supplies. I've had a pleasure to meet many of these dedicated specialists, and they do a fantastic job, so thank you for them. Anyone who knows me knows I use a bit of humor to get through my day, but there's nothing funny about why we are here today. We were so low on PPE that I had to purchase large plastic garbage bags and cut them up as protective gowns for our first responders to wear. Could you imagine? I have to hand a firefighter, paramedic, a garbage bag and say, go save lives, but they were willing to do it. This PPE today is a game changer. We literally can't do our job safely unless Cook County does theirs. And you do it, you have done it, and you never let us down. So thank you again, President Preckwinkle, and all of your staff. Thank you.
Now I'd like to ask Chief Shore to come forward.
Thank you, everybody, for responding today and coming to this generous event here of the PPE products. I'd like to thank Madam President Preckwinkle for your generous support to our community, IEMA, EMRS, and the National Guard. Colonel, thank you. Thank you for the supplies for our first responders. It is very difficult to keep the morale up at our police stations, responding to that many calls. As you heard the mayor saying, we respond to approximately 25,000 calls. These young men and women serving the community are having difficult times right now, but they know they have to put that uniform on a daily basis, get out there. I'd also like to thank all the public, as has been already mentioned, that have come for their support, area businesses, the Park District, and so forth. They've been phenomenal with donating many of these products that we have been depleting and going through very quickly. There is one more crucial piece of the puzzle that has to stay into place. And everybody here, it knows what that rule is, shelter into place. I'm asking you, please, as the public out there, whether you're a Burbank resident, Cook County resident, state of Illinois resident, or anywhere in the nation, please shelter into place right now. Practice the guidelines by the CDC, the IDPH, and so forth, with the social distancing, the washing of the hands, wearing a mask when applicable to do so. That will help us beat this. That's the only way we're going to do it, is collectively, cohesively, not only as first responders, as government agencies working together, but collectively together as a community itself. Thank you.
Again, my thanks to Mayor Foy, Commissioner Lowry, Director of IEMA, Alicia Tate-Nadeau, Colonel Wise, Colonel, thank you, Bill Barnes, Emergency Management and Regional Security, and then our Fire Chief Gilgenberg and Police Chief Rick Shore.